So, hi guys, thanks for joining me today. You're both looking really, really well, and I really appreciate you being willing to open up and talk with me and share about your benefits and your gains through seeking therapy with me. I just need to profess that the names have been changed to protect confidentiality and privacy, and the faces have been blurred as well. But everything that's said today between us is real and factual. And I just want to confirm that neither of you have been paid to do this interview today.
No, we haven't.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, again, thank you. I know it's a big step to step and talk about your relationship and talk about, going to therapy. There's a lot of, stigma that can be connected to it. So I do really appreciate it. And I suppose we might as well get into it and just explore what actually brought you guys to come and seek therapy with me.
Okay, so I think we never tried any couples therapy before we came to you, Kat. So it was our first experience with that. I had individual therapy, and I found that it was very beneficial to me. But at the time, we just were not on the same page with a lot of things in our relationship, and we just felt like we were drifting apart.
Okay.
So
what do you think actually brought you to be on different pages? What do you think the underlying issues were inside of that?
I'm just going to say our ability to communicate with each other, for sure. And
are you giggling back there, Zach? What are you giggling at? It's like you have something to say.
Oh, yes. It's just hard to put it into words, I guess. Nothing was working really. So, just trying to get some clarity and help on why things weren't working properly.
So when you say nothing working, do you mean like communication, emotional connection? Was there conflict? When you say nothing,
everything.
I think every aspect just didn't feel like we were gelling. We were surviving. The way to kind of explain it, and I think until we just reached a point where it was either we were going to break up or we had to do something and look within. And
it was the end of the road. It was like if this doesn't work, we're done. That's what it was.
It felt like that. Yeah.
Do you think there are any key contributing factors towards that coming to a head like that? I mean, I'm aware that you had young children at the time.
Yeah.
Were there any other background things like mental health struggles or, work pressures, external family relationships that were creating pressures?
I feel like for myself, I had been experiencing chronic anxiety myself, which definitely contributed to what we navigated through with therapy. Even the fact that Zach didn't know how to understand where I was coming from, with the space I was in, which meant that a lot of the time we were communicating with each other and not really understanding or having the ability to really get where that person was coming from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. You're kind of saying that when you were struggling inside of your anxiety, that contributed to the issues. However, without understanding where each other were at, you weren't able to navigate it and not personalize it, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that would be that's from my perspective. What about you?
Yeah, all the pressures of having a young family, working long hours. I was doing shift work at the time, so it was like passing shifts in the night, and then not having that good communication when we did spend time together just made it a lot worse than what it had to be.
Yeah, I can really hear the struggle inside of that. And I remember those times when we were unpacking and exploring what was happening in each individual's life and the pressures, the distractions, the demands of family life as well, and how that really robbed you of connection on top of the anxiety. And Jen, your ability to be able to navigate that anxiety and understand what was happening beneath that. And I'm aware, Zach, that you actually struggled with how to support and show up in a way that was, productive and helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So when we unpacked all of that, how do you think, or what did you gain from actually understanding around the mental health, around young family life, around communication? What do you think the core, things that you learned that helped make some changes for you both?
Just understanding where the other person was coming from,
mm-hmm.
and how to, I guess, wrap your head around their feelings and their emotional state, and then also where I was coming from and my emotional state and my reactions, and just how to blend the two together instead of being at opposite ends.
Yeah, because a lot of the time, just adding to that, I would make, my own presumptions or assumptions, about what was actually happening. But then when we were in therapy and then Zach would say something, I would be like, oh, I actually never saw it from that perspective. And I found that you as our therapist was able to help us see from each other's points of view, but we'd never really been able to do that. We had a lot of aha moments where we're like, that's why, we haven't been able to communicate, because you might have taken something personally and then kept it with you rather than actually having the skills to discuss it and realize, okay, it's not something personal that I need to take on board. It's just what's happening for him or for myself. And yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. That's excellent. So, Zach, when you came into therapy with me, what was it like? Frequently the female can instigate therapy and want to start to talk it out, just frequently. So it's a big step for you, and you were, amazingly courageous inside of your vulnerability, and your willingness to step into that space really made such profound impacts on the repairing and the restoring of your relationship. So how was it for you to actually seek therapy and, start to unpack what was happening for you?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the process, surprisingly. I didn't have to be dragged there, but I had to be, I guess, encouraged to give it a go. And then once we got started, I enjoyed the process. I guess the mindset of, I can't speak for every male, but like myself, is that it's going to be the therapist and my wife against myself. So I guess like being a male and going into therapy, you think, oh shit, they're just going to hang it all onto me and, blame me for everything. But then when we got started on the process, I realized it takes two to tango, and, it wasn't just ganging up on me. It was, let's actually deal with how you feel and then how Jen feels, and then we'll, bring it all together. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Look where we are today because of it. So I really enjoyed your approach. It's very direct, very to the point. You felt like after one session, you got results and you got a good outcome. It doesn't take years of therapy to sort it out. It's like, straight there, and you can kind of figure out what's going on, that's what I liked about it the most.
That was so true. I remember the end of our first couple session. Remember we were on the beach and we were just reflecting on the session, and you were like, what just happened? That was like amazing. That wasn't what I thought. That was just such a relief. Just that I think because of that, the sense of optimism that the sessions bring, and also that realness to really look at yourself like in a way that you've never done before, in a safe way, in a safe environment, it's very refreshing, and it actually makes you feel 10 times lighter afterwards, doesn't it? Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's such an enjoyable process. I mean, that's why I love doing couples therapy so much, is because there are such a profound impact on the couple. And I just feel, again, relieved and hopeful and, inspired by the couples that I work with. And you guys were definitely inspiring. So when it comes to, and I really appreciate you saying that, men do tend to perceive that they're going to be ganged up on and that it's going to be the women against the male, but it's really not that way. It's so important to give each person, the microphone to speak from their own experiences. And you're each coming from your own history, your own personal value systems, your own family struggles, trauma, issues from the past that come into the relationship. And so, there is no one side. It's very much both people are involved inside of it to make it work. So what do you think are the key things that you learned through the therapy that we did together? But what were those standout points?
Oh, in a nutshell, just how to understand each other, communicate better, work through issues as they arise instead of dwelling on them or stewing on them. And just, I guess, enjoying each other's company more because of all that.
Yeah, totally. I think so. I think as well, understanding that sometimes you are going to have disagreements, but that's just the reality. There's not just this perfect scenario where everything just runs swimmingly, in the sense that that when there is something a little bit rocky or challenging, that you can handle it and you know how to approach it. And I actually feel like even just the way when we do have some conflict, it's a lot more calmer and not as kind of explosive or animated, because we can actually have that conversation. Sometimes I know I do, I'll come up and say, listen, this is not you, this is me, I'm feeling this way, but it means that X, Y, Z, you can actually...
We're also better at understanding each other when we're in a mood or, whereas before we both just get angry. Now one of us can kind of laugh and go, that's your stuff, it's not my stuff. And then we just move on a lot quicker than we did before, which I think is really good.
It's so much healthier than the situation we were in. And truly, because we didn't even realise it's from our own stuff, from our own backgrounds and life experience, that, say, Zach likes to have space, and I need that connection in that argument. So we were coming at things from a very different place. So, I don't know.
I feel like pre-therapy, all your issues just build up over time. And so when you get to the end point or the breaking point, you kind of feel like it's too hard and it's too far gone. There's no way back. But then as you do therapy and you go through the process and you clear the air, essentially, you realise you can do it and it's worth fighting for. And it's, then as issues arise, you just hit them on the head straight away instead of letting it build up. And it's just easier to deal with everyday life and shit, basically.
And we look forward to it. We actually, when we had it a few sessions, but we never kind of went, oh, we've got therapy. We looked forward to coming to speak with you and to, what is it going to bring? I know there's been sessions individually or as a couple where we've gone, this is it, just this sense of relief and knowing that we've been had an opportunity to speak and be heard and understood and all those things. I feel like we're a lot probably more close as a couple now than we were ever before, which is interesting. And I think it's the communication.
Yeah, definitely. Because one of the key things that we worked on is it's the greatest to understand, understanding one another is the foundation of love. And understanding each other on a deeper and more profound level, and understanding each other's triggers, understanding what each other's fears are, your own attachment styles, how you deal with conflict. And once you understand the other, it actually stops the personalization. So, there's the gift inside of that. And that brings that connection, because that, vulnerability, that openness and that understanding brings the depth in the connection. The thing I really loved with the two of you is how open you were to step into those spaces with me, and explore yourselves, and then come and meet each other and step into that vulnerability and opening up. Because the key to therapy is not just working with the stuff that comes into the room, but actually working with the processes, You know, I always say my terrible business model is to make myself redundant so that you don't need me. A good business model, but it's really about,
you have said that to us. Yes,
yeah, I have, because it's about skilling you guys so that you can have the inevitable conflict, but do it in a respectful way in which conflict becomes an access point for growth and connection in the relationship. So I love that you're still carrying those skills and those resources with you. So what kind of things did you notice yourself actioning through the therapy, that, you know, the skills that you learned during the therapy? When did you notice yourself kind of applying them? You know, the giving the space and conflict. Can you think of any points of?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. The thing that we still say to this day is we need to lean in. Do you know that?
Yes, I remember that.
Yes. Yeah. There's like this. The thing that I really love, like, about like the therapy sessions we've had together, Kat, is really the way that you deliver the information to us, or these tools that we can have at home, we can remember just because of the way you've delivered it to us. So we remember, like, are we leaning in or are we kind of pulling away from each other? Like, you know, so we'll just remind each other sometimes that we need to lean in if we notice the other one is kind of pulling away or going into their shell or whatever it may be. That's something that I think we've definitely applied, and just not taking things personally, I think, has been a big thing as well. I know that it's helped me a lot. What about you?
We started applying it from the day one.
From the first day, yeah.
And you just get better over time. You know, sometimes you forget, and then you've got to have a little meeting and you remember what to do and you come good again.
Yeah,
so, yeah, it's definitely handy to have the tools.
It helps even with your own family, like with our children as well, like how we approach things with them. I think it helps you understand not just with each other, but how to navigate conflict that may arise around you. If they're feeling upset or if they're feeling quite angry or animated, you can kind of bring those tools there. So it's not just with each other, it's just our family unit as a whole, I would say. We do that a lot as well. Like,
beautiful. I mean, fundamentally, that is was always my driving force, you know, coming from a struggling family environment as a kid. And why I grew up and said, I want to be a therapist, is because I wanted to help couples like really begin to communicate and connect and be emotionally more stable and accountable inside of their relationships. And then, you know, kind of breed it forward and pass those resources on to their kids, and make, you know, such huge difference, because that just bleeds out to our communities and the world at large. So I love hearing that it's actually benefited and you apply it to the kids. That, you know, makes me feel so good. Yeah. So like, where do you think you both are now with each other? Like, where are you at now?
In a good place.
Yeah, I think we're in a really good place. An honest place. Like an honest place. I don't think we felt like we were in an honest place before, you know, because you don't know any different. But then when you kind of go do the work, and we can say openly, it's not always easy when you're going in there and taking a good hard look at yourself and each other. Sometimes there are moments that are a little bit confronting. But once you get through the other side, we have the freedom now to be really honest with each other, which I don't think we were. You know, if I'm honest with myself now, like we weren't doing before, because we didn't know how to be, which is interesting.
Just know each other
better.
Yeah.
Because we know each other better.
Yeah. I do remember working with transparency, authenticity, and immediacy inside of the sessions, in which you're learning how to actually deal with issues as they arise, so that they don't actually turn into big things, as well as learning how to bring your truth to the table, like that radical honesty, you know, clear is kind. And if you're withholding your feelings, withholding your needs, and not actually bringing it to the table, then that's where the disconnection starts to come. You don't feel loved, you don't feel needed, you don't feel valued, and really being able to communicate openly and respectfully one another about those needs. And I suppose, so Zach, how did you learning how to communicate your needs and your fears or concerns, bring you to where you are at now?
It's just that it takes practice, and the more you do it, the better you'll become at it. That's it.
Yeah. It becomes pretty simple, doesn't it? I mean, that's once the resources are there, it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know, but once you know it and you practice it often enough, you just do it without even thinking about it, much like driving a car. And people think that therapy and relationship issues, they get so messy, as you said, Zach, and that it seems so big. But once you actually learn how to skill yourself inside of it, it can become as simple and easy as driving a car. You kind of just naturally do it.
And you can feel when you're starting to get off the road a little bit, and you're like, okay, we need to, whether it is, maybe we need another session, or maybe we need to talk about it, or maybe there's lots of different, or maybe we do need some space to reflect, or all the different things that we, can apply, but we are more self-aware.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love that you can connect to that, Jen, around, because we did work around noticing and having those signals, like emotions, they're not negative or positive, they're just appropriate. And all emotions or unpleasant emotions tend to be a signal that you're steering off. And if you can pay attention to those emotional signals, they can actually identify an unmet need. And then it brings you back to the relationship to start to communicate again. So I love that you're connected to those subtle shifts again, and that you can then go, oh gosh, I might need to talk to Zach about something, or I might need to bring, we might need to go on date night because we're feeling disconnected, or that kind of stuff. That's true. Brilliant. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your vulnerability and your openness. And I am so grateful and incredibly respectful for your application. It has always been an honor working with you guys, and I love that you got so much from it. So thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Kat. Oh, honestly, anybody who is considering therapy, with, a couples therapy, they won't regret working with you. It has been, we're just so grateful for everything that we've learnt and been able to apply, and your approach and your positivity and optimism and just the delivery. We felt so safe during the whole process, and able to really be ourselves. And and that's why it was such a pleasure to come to the sessions. As Zach said, he felt like it wasn't going to be like that, and realized that we were looking forward to the next one all of a sudden. So it was very good. So we really appreciate you as well, and thank you.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you, Kat.
You're welcome, Zach. Thank you. Thanks so much, guys. Again, enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully I won't be seeing you soon.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Bye.